Hey, Stukulele from Uke Mullum here. Thanks for stopping by. You've landed on my once monthly Baritone Ukulele songwriting video. Each month I have set myself the target of writing an original song from scratch on the Baritone Ukulele, and I record it in Logic Pro 10. If that's something that interests you, hang around and I'll give you a sneak peek into the process of how I arrived at this month's song, Same Old Scene. Like last time, today is a Thursday, and if you haven't seen the song that I wrote a month ago, Thursday, check it out right here. There's also another song that I started this whole thing off called Baritone Baby, which you can check that out here, and I'll leave some links in the description as well. This time I wasn't sure what I was going to come up with or what it was going to be about. All I knew is I wanted it to be different from the last time and set myself some different boundaries to help me get there. I really enjoy creating something from nothing. There's no finer joy for me, actually, to sit down and go, let's create. I love it. I love the process, and I love seeing it through to the end. It didn't go as smoothly, mainly because I think when I wrote the lyrics, it was after I'd done the melody, whereas before, they kind of happened at the same time in conjunction with each other. So this time I actually plotted a melody using Logic Pro. I arrived at that melody from doodling around with the good old pentatonic scale. I'm pretty happy with what I got. It's very different approach, and things happened along the way that I started breaking rules, and my original plan changed. I'll just go and sit down and show you how I actually started. I started the process exactly the same as last time. In fact, here are my notes, the actual original notes that I used. And basically what I was doing was plotting out each degree of the scale. And because the last song was done in the key of G, I thought, well, I will do something different this time, and let's go in the key of D. Okay, so D, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. In the key of D, F is a sharp. And I wonder if C is 2. I think it would have to be a semitone before D, because that's how a major scale is made up of: tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So if that was C, it would be a whole tone away, therefore it must be a sharp. Okay, therefore that's a major, this is a minor, this is a minor, that's a major, this is a minor, this is a half diminished. Last time we steered away from the half diminished, and I thought, well, you know, I'm purposely going to use it in there. The other thing that I wanted to do differently this time was we played a really simple country song in 4/4 time. So this time I thought, you know, let's do it in 3/4. So I drew out my bars like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make it an 8-bar pattern. Always a good place to start at least. And then I chose the tonic, the root note of the scale, which is D. And last time I finished with D, I wanted to do something differently again. So I broke all the rules. So I did 2 bars of D, and then I chose an A, and then I chose a G. And then we hadn't used any minors yet, so I thought, well, let's go ahead and use the minors here. So F sharp minor, E minor. Just to be tricky, I put them in reverse, and I thought, well, let's try to see what the diminished sounds like. C sharp half diminished, and finish it, instead of the D, let's finish on an A. So that became the A section. And for my B section, I wanted to do a chorus in this song. Now that's something I didn't do in the last song, was really have a well-defined chorus. So I really wanted to have something that was repeated and that really jumped out. So I thought the best way to do that would be to either go to the 5 chord or the 4 chord. And I thought I'd go for the softer option to see how that sounded. And this is what I ended up with. Let's see, I might just get a new page. So that's the A section. The B section went like this. 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. Okay, so we were going to start with a G, 2 bars of G to kind of mirror the actual verse that I've just done. And then I thought, let's put the minors in there and do 2 of those. And let's do 2 A's and do a sneaky B minor in there and a G. Now at this stage, I've got no idea what this is going to sound like whatsoever. It's just what I wrote down on the paper. And as you can see, there it is, the first original scribbles unchanged. And that's how I started it. So there we were. I had my chord progression and I chose a tempo in Logic and I recorded those chords exactly as I'd written them down in 3/4. And again, I thought, let's keep it really sparse. It just helps things breathe rather than really filling up the sound with a lot of ukulele. I just thought I would start off with a really simple, like so. Now, I quickly came up with a new rule. I like it when the tonic or the root note of the chord is the bass note. For example, I'm playing a D chord and that's a D right there. I've decided, all right, every chord that I've chosen will have to have the tonic as the bass note. So, in order to do that quickly, instead of trying to work out where I could play on the neck, I went to this fantastic website by the name of ukebuddy.com. Now, if you've never used it before, let me introduce you to it. It's fantastic. It's a treasure trove. You can name chords by typing in the different shapes on the neck of the ukulele, like a virtual neck on the ukulele, and it will spit out a couple of different options of names that it could be. For example, let's put this one in here, put this one in here, put this one in here, and it turns out it's an A minor 7, for example. You can also go the other way around and you choose the chord that you want and Uke Buddy will give you lots of different positions up the neck. With my new rule of making the root note, I found out that I could play an A chord up here. So I'm fine with the first one, obviously that's D. And then I go to my A. And now I want a G. Turns out you can play a G like that. So that's a G. So I'm not breaking my rule, good. Next one's F sharp. Oh, that's really cool. I'm getting this nice descending thing happening. Exciting. E minor. So, did I break the rule then? Maybe I did. Because that's definitely not an E. But you know what? It kind of works, so I kept it. So I made rules and I broke rules all the way through this process. But I definitely did start out giving myself some boundaries because I don't want to waste time just guessing. I want to know exactly where I'm headed, and if I change that along the way, that's cool. You know, you've got to be a little bit loose about these things. So what have I got so far? I've got 2 bars of D, A, G, F minor, E minor, F sharp minor. And then this one was a tricky one, but thanks to Uke Buddy, I found, ooh, that's an interesting chord. What a great sound. Lovely open sound for the C sharp diminished. So I had my chords recorded, the A section and the B section. Now it's time to come up with the melody. And I thought, well, I could use the pentatonic scale because that is a fail-safe and it works every time. But instead of doing it in D, I thought, what would it sound like if I play the 5-chord melody pentatonic scale? D, E, F, G, A. So that's where I started. I started noodling around. And what I actually did was record myself as I was noodling, just to see if I captured something nice. I really liked the sound of that scale over the chords that I had, but I found something weird was happening. It seemed as though the center of my key was changing from D and it worked better as A. So by default, I just grabbed some notes that I liked the sound of and I plotted them out with a piano in Logic and came up with a little melody that I thought, oh, that could be good, and I'll try singing and layering over the top and see what I come up with. That's how I began. So I didn't have any lyrics in mind at this point. It was just simply some notes that I liked the sound of. And yeah, that was pretty much how I got my start. That was my verse. And once I finally chose the lyrics and stuck them over that melody, it was kind of awkward at first. It didn't quite work and it just wasn't very natural. So I ended up actually massaging it a bit. It took me 3 days, to be honest. I was walking around with the tune in my head and I'd go to sleep, then I'd wake up, and the first thing in the morning, I knew exactly what I had to do to make it better. But I did that twice. So I recorded one melody one day, and I had different words is the other thing too. The first time I put it down, I used different words. I had the word surrender in there, and I just, it gives me the creeps for some reason. So I changed it to remember, and a few things like that would take place in this process. So there's a bit of massaging and tweaking and improving upon it. And by the third day, I streamlined it into something that I thought the lyrics matched the melody and the mood of the song was starting to take shape. At this stage, I also had the chorus, which was... Now, I got that rhythm from two places, actually. One was Jeff Buckley, Last Goodbye. Fantastic. And also, in the back of my mind was Ain't No Sunshine. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. When he goes, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. That kind of, I like that idea. And it came from me noodling around on the uke, doing solos over the chords. And I just got that little phrase and it twigged straight away. I thought, oh, cool, I'll use that. And I thought that's what I'll do for the chorus. And then actually did the same process and plotted that on the piano. And as I was plotting it, I wanted to do something at the end of it and take it high, you know. I want one of these choruses that really delivers a punch and makes the singer work hard for that last little high note. So I just took my finger on the keyboard. I'm actually using my iPad at this stage to plot the notes. And I just went like this and ran my finger over the the keys, and it came out with this lovely little melody. I had to change some of the notes that were out of key. So yeah, and that's how I ended up with the melody for the chorus. That was a hard one too, because I've got this, what am I going to do for lyrics? And I started off with way too many words. And if we can do what we need to, all this stuff I was trying to tell a story basically, and getting as many words in there. But I don't think it works as a rhythmic device if you're not repeating the same words over and over. So again, it took me 3 days to come up with using the same words. If you, and then if you what. At some point I had to decide, what is this song about? Otherwise, you're kind of just writing lollipop stuff and bubblegum music, love song, silly, meaningless. And, you know, I've got to admit, there are times when I have to work hard in my relationship to keep things on an even keel. And sometimes we get in these patterns of behaviour where we trigger each other, so we just have the same scene played over and over. And once I got that notion, the rest of it started to fall into place. But as I say, it was hard fought, these lyrics, and I'm pretty happy with them. If I allowed myself more time, I could probably make them even better, and maybe I will one day. I started to realise I needed to move and add some extra bars to make this song really work. And it reminded me of this online thingy I saw of Andrew Farris, who was talking about when he was making the demo for I Need You Tonight for their album Kick. He was using a sequencer and he accidentally added an extra bar or left it in there by mistake. And that's what ended up on the demo. And the idea I walked away with was, he said, if you want to get people to prick up their ears, don't do things in even fours. So that's what I did. I added a few extra bars here and there. And it also just helped the melody breathe a little bit, just by adding in one bar here and there. And it turns out, I thought I was writing a song in the key of D, but really I think I've ended up in the key of A. So I've added a bit more A to the end of the verses. So anyway, I've ended up with 2 parts that I'm fairly happy with, and I kept all those noodly notes that I did in the beginning on the uke when I was just playing a bit of lead using the A pentatonic scale. And instead of writing a second verse, I thought I'll do an instrumental section using the melody of the song, and because I quite like the sound of the 2 ukes kind of interweaving. It was like it was 2 different people having a conversation, and I thought, oh, that kind of fits the mood of the song and the subject matter. So I left it like that and moved things around a little bit to make them work more interestingly and musically. I'd just like to quickly take this moment to thank my patrons for making these videos possible. I really appreciate your support, and I'm going to put your names at the end of this video. The top tier Avid Learner patrons. Thank you so very much for your kind support. If you can't afford to be my patron, I absolutely get it, but do me a favour and share this with your friends on social media, give it a thumbs up, and leave me a comment below, because some of the comments that I got last time I've used to effect for this one. Like someone said that the drums I used last time were a little bit metronomic. So I used Apple Drummer in Logic Pro. It's cool. You can change the feel and how loud and how complicated your drummer is, and you end up with stuff that you probably wouldn't think of. Oh, and I am a drummer first, so I'm very particular about what happens with the drums, but I really liked the way that my drummer handled this part in the song. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to my new original tune, Same Old Scene. Hope you like it. Here we go again, the same old scene, played over and over. Why can't we just be together? Not frozen in time. Don't you still want me? Hold out your hand. Don't speak, just remember. If you still want me, open your arms and let me hold you. Don't you still want me? Hold out your hand. Don't speak, just remember. If you still want me, hold out your hand. Hold out your hand. Open your arms and let me hold you. Thanks so much for hanging out with me all the way to the end of the video. YouTube really loves that kind of thing. They like it when people watch something all the way through. It helps the channel no end. Thanks so much again, and I'll see you in the next one. There's a swirl in the sun and a swirl in the sky. There's a smile on the face of everybody passing by.